G'day everyone. I thought I'd discuss with you a nice rumour dealing with lenses from the Sony side, Sony mirrorless. It's an interesting article that I just read this morning, so I thought I'd go through it with you basically. Some of the amazing things now with Sony particularly is we really are blessed when you're dealing with lenses. We have coverage for almost anything you'd like to do apart from really long-ended lenses for sport and wildlife, and those are going to be coming obviously, particularly with the Olympics next year. And I think really the only other lens that I think we're missing is something like a really wide angle lens as well that's not been mentioned in any of these roadmaps. So I'm really looking forward to Sony releasing something in that 12mm range that's a nice prime lens as well. But I thought I'd take you through this little rumour, and then obviously down below you can have a discussion and let me know what you think about these lenses that are coming up. But I think it's really interesting. Like I said, we are very blessed in the Sony mirrorless world now. That's one thing where no one can criticise Sony at all for, is their lens range. So let's have a look at this. So this is on thenewcamera.com. The only thing is it seems to contradict itself, because it does say the list of lenses coming up in 2019, but then down the bottom in the first line it says coming up in the next 2 years of time. So I'm not quite sure what they mean by that, but I thought we'd look at this list anyway and go through it. It just says down here that take a look at the list of Sony upcoming mirrorless lenses in 2019. Let's have a look at the list. We have 4 new lenses in a row, all are primes, and they are expected to arrive in the next 2 years of time. And that's where, like I said, it gets confused. The range will start from 1.4 100 to 600mm. So there's a couple of lenses that I did not expect in this range, and particularly the FE100 1.4 there. I really did not expect that lens at all. And how interesting, there is obviously the STF lens, the 100, and you know, that's a beautiful lens, but because of the way that lens works, it gives you an aperture of around about 5.6. So this is a really interesting focal length. And it's really interesting to see that they're adding that 100 1.4 and also the FE 135 1.8 there as well. That's one lens I'd love to try. I do love the 135mm focal length. It's an amazing portrait length, and I really would like to try that one. So it's interesting. What do you guys think about that? Do you think are those two lenses a bit close to one another? But remember, you're dealing with a 1.4 there, but shooting at 100mm at 1.4, it's going to be razor thin in focus. So that's interesting anyway. There's going to be an FE 500mm f4 and an FE 600mm f4. Now these are clearly lenses that are done for sports and also wildlife. These will be tailored for the A9 in the Summer Olympics next year in Japan. So I'm pretty certain that they probably will be released before the Olympics. So you could probably count those coming out late next year or early in 2020, but definitely released, like I said, before the Olympics comes out. So they're the new lenses that are announced. I'd love to know what you guys think about those. But down here, it also says that they're going to have refreshes of their lens. So they're probably going to bring like a Mark II out or something, because they're saying there's going to be a refresh of the 16 to 35 2.8 GM. There's also going to be a refresh of the 2470 2.8. And I think that probably is due for a refresh. If you look at that against the Tamron, in a lot of ways I think the Tamron is a little bit sharper, so that probably is a lens that could do with a little bit of a refresh. The Sony 70 to 200 2.8 is also going to get a refresh. There has been rumours or reports around that there's been some issues with the lens having separating and things like that, so perhaps they're going to make it a bit more sturdy and obviously add to quality of that lens as well. There's a Sony FE 85 1.4 update as well. There's also the STF lens is going to be updated, and the 100 to 400 is going to be updated as well. And down here, they're also saying in this section we have a 200 to 600mm lenses. There's going to be an FE 200 to 600 variable aperture lens, 5.6 to 6.3, and something for APS-C, because they haven't mentioned APS-C there at all. So there's a couple of shocks there that I wouldn't have thought about. I mean, the 16 to 35 particularly is a new lens, and I can't understand why that would need a refresh. So that's interesting in itself. The 70 to 200 is a stellar lens. Like I said, I have heard of a couple of people. I know Danny mentioned that the other day. He had an issue with that lens separating or something. I'm not sure whether that was due to it being dropped or whether it's just a problem with the lens. And obviously the STF is being updated as well, they're saying, and the 100 to 400. So I'm surprised. I don't know if I can believe that they would be refreshing those lenses so soon after they've been released. Like I said, particularly the 16 to 35 lens there as well. But very, very interesting, and I just wanted to share that with you, that again, Sony are just adding more and more of these lenses around. It's going to take a long time for other companies, obviously, to catch up. And this is one of the beauties now, that the technology of the Sony cameras, I believe, is way ahead of anyone else. And we are so blessed now in the lens department as well. So we really are lucky if we're shooting Sony native glass, particularly as you're starting now to see Tamron coming on board, Sigma, all these other companies are all coming on board. You know, you've got the Zeiss Batis, which I love as well, Zeiss lenses too. So we really are blessed. Love to know your thoughts down below about this, and I'll see you all again, well, tomorrow hopefully, on Aaron's channel for the new Behind the Photo show. Catch you all, guys. See you later.